Our final speaker is somebody you saw perform earlier, Jacob George. I only met him tonight. Though I have been following the bike tour, I know he was with some of my friends up in Media, Pennsylvania, Brandywine Peace Community. I know that he's been in touch with some of my friends in Wilmington, Delaware, Pachman Terrace. So he seems to know everybody that I know. When we were conceiving this, I mean, how can we talk about military spending? You know, I go see anti-war movies, and I've seen some video footage, and basically they don't show much of this on television anymore. So we said we have to have a vet. And there were a number of members of the Veterans for Peace. We've got a very good chapter here, Phil Berrigan chapter right here in Baltimore. And we were fortunate enough to have Jacob George come down and join us. So enlighten us.
So I'll give you a brief history, military history. I joined the Army in 2000. I did 3 tours in Operation Enduring Freedom between 01 and 04. One about a month after September 11th, the second, the summer of 2002, and the third, 2003 and 2004. I was honorably discharged as Sergeant, October 2004, and I was a paratrooper in the Army. So, how did I get here? Well, I'll give you a brief history on the ride and how the ride came together. Basically, my brother Jordan, who's 9 years younger than me, received orders to go to Afghanistan at the age of 19. Well, that's when I did my first tour, but that was 9 years, 9 years before that. So it was kind of wild for us to both come to this juncture where my brother was going to war at 19 to the same war I helped start when I was 19. But there's almost a 10-year age gap. So I shared a lot of stories with him about this war that I never told him before. And basically, we decided it was better for him to go to prison than to go to Afghanistan. So Jordan decided to go AWOL and resist the Afghan War, which took a lot of courage. Now this started on May 1st, 2010, and that's when the bike ride started pretty much with this action. And within about 6 months of taking direct action, Jordan was chaptered out with a general discharge with honorable intent without a single day in jail, which was pretty wild. We weren't expecting that. So what we did was we picked up our instruments, we're musicians, and we took off across the South to play our songs for people and to tell people our story of war. And it's a story that a lot of people in the South understand. You know, your mother, your brother, your sister, your father, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles being sent off to war. So we gathered a lot of sympathy, and that's one of the reasons we were able to do what we did. But through that process, we observed a lot of things in the South, a lot of things that show that our country is really suffering from these wars. As we rode through Pine Bluff, Arkansas, we noticed that the entire downtown area was closed down. It looked like a ghost town. It really did, and we talked to a lot of people there, why do you think this is happening? And they said, because of the war. And then we rode through Jackson, Mississippi. And we went through parts of Jackson where this entire mall was closed down. It was boarded up. There was Taco Bells and other fast food restaurants around it. They were boarded up too. And this is something you don't see a lot in the South, a boarded up fast food restaurant. So we asked a lot of people in the area, what do you think is happening here? Well, it's because of the war. So then we continue riding. We eventually make it through Houston, Texas. And we notice as we're riding through Houston, there's signs everywhere for houses that are for sale. And it seriously looks like it's a local electoral campaign or something's going on here. There's that many signs in people's yards. And we stop and ask people, what's going on here? And they say, well, it's because of the war. We don't have any money. And what we slowly discovered across traveling in the South was that everyone knows the war is causing this to happen. The problem is the people do not know what to do. And I think that is pretty common, vernacular through this country. We really do not know what to do about this. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I got hankering to go back to Afghanistan as a peace activist this year because I wanted to live like an Afghan. And I wanted to see what was really going on in Afghanistan because I didn't feel like I really could grasp it from my experiences with the lens of combat. So about a month and a half ago, I returned. I spent about a month in Afghanistan this summer, kind of seeing what it was like to be in Afghanistan right now and to see it as a peace activist. And a lot of what I saw was very alarming. And I saw a lot of beautiful things too, but I'll try to stick to the theme here. When we first got there, we met with a group of youth that are active in organizing for peace in Afghanistan, the Afghan Youth Peace Volunteers. And this kid, Abdullahi, asked us, you know, where are you guys from? And everyone was like, Chicago, New York City, Washington, D.C., and he got around to me and I was like, well, I'm from the Ouachita Mountains in Arkansas. And he kind of giggled and he goes, well, I'm from the Bamyan Mountains in Afghanistan. I thought, oh my gosh, this kid's a hillbilly. Just like me. And then he asked me, what did you do before you came over? And I helped a bunch of friends harvest some potatoes in Ozark Mountains. And I said, you know, we just worked our potatoes. And he giggled and he says, well, we're just getting ready to work our potatoes too. I was like, oh my gosh, this kid's a hillbilly farmer, just like me. And then I told him, you know, in the U.S. a lot of people call me a hillbilly, but I'm proud of that. And he said, well, in Afghanistan they call us mountain boys. And these events unfolded the whole time I was there, I realized that there's not a lot of difference between myself, a hillbilly farmer from Arkansas, and Abdullahi, who lives in the Bamyan Mountains in Afghanistan. We're both poor, we're both coming from working class backgrounds, we're both farmers, and we're both stuck in this trap where these institutions are training their farmers to kill farmers while our nations starve. And a lot of our dialogue revolved around the craziness of that. You know, how is it that our farmers are being trained to kill other farmers? Because I was fighting farmers when I was in Afghanistan, to be perfectly honest. Yet the people of Afghanistan are starving. And there's a lot of people in this country that are starving, especially people in the South. There's a lot of poverty in the South. So there's another instance that I witnessed over there that really kind of shook me. We went to an IDP camp. I don't know if you know what an IDP is, but an IDP is an internally displaced person. So it's basically an Afghan that has nowhere to go within Afghanistan. Now this camp was in Kabul. It had around 10,000 people in it. The average life expectancy for a child wasn't past 5 years old. Very grim, mud walls, cloth doors, tarps for roofs. It's very cold in Kabul. Kabul's elevation is about 200 feet higher than Denver. So you can imagine trying to survive through a winter without a blanket or any firewood and what that's like. But what's really bizarre about this camp is that on one side of the camp there is this huge wall that is pristine, and it encompasses a military complex so vast that your eyes cannot see the other end of it. And the cost of this wall alone could have put every single kid and family in this camp in a house in Afghanistan. And these people have to wake up every single day looking at this wall, knowing this. They're not stupid. They know how their money is being spent, and it's terrible. It's very painful to see this, but they can't do anything. Similar to us in the South, we don't know what to do. We're being taken advantage of. This is the same thing that's happening to the Afghan people. They don't know what to do. So there's a lot of solidarity here that can happen between the Afghan people and the U.S. citizen. We're both being taken advantage of by corrupt systems, and we've got to figure out how to work together if we really want to create a peaceful tomorrow. And I think there's a lot of power in between us working with the Afghan citizens here, because we're struggling from the same things, and we want the same thing. You know, we want our peace, we want to grow our potatoes without being bombed, and we want our countries back. Thank you.